Good morning. We're going to get ready for a major test tomorrow. For those of you who are remote, you will need to schedule a time this week and come into the library after school and take this chapter. Well, it will be a cumulative test. This will be T2-4, last major grade of the quarter. It is very similar to the last one you took. So if we look at this last test, this was the last test of last quarter. There was a cover sheet. On the back of that cover sheet, you had a grid and then more graphs if you needed to. There were formulas down here before we went into the other part. So what I want to do is to go over this one more time. There's a good chance that you've got your Scantrons on this. You can look at what you did, but I want to zoom in and look at specific problems that you had that. Other than that, to study for this test, go over your vocabulary. A lot of this test, probably 2/3 of this test is, do you know vocabulary? When I say adjacent angle, do you know that that means it has to share a vertex, that it has to share a ray, that it has to be in the same plane? Some points cannot be interior to the other. And we're going to see, as we look through this test, you'll have a couple examples where the question is basically just a vocabulary question inside. Also, look over your old quizzes. From this quarter, we had quiz 1, which was on chapter 3, sections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is still posted on the printables, and also there's a Google form. So look at that, see how you did on that. You have not had a test on that, so this will be like a test over that. Quiz 2 of this quarter. This was chapter 5 on how angles are congruent, on how triangles are congruent, either by side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, or hypotenuse leg. So look over that quiz, over to chapter 5. And then the one that we just took over chapter 6, points of concurrency. You know the difference in your 4 points of concurrency. Your circumcenter, incenter, your centroid, and your orthocenter. Which ones those go with? Circumcenter goes with perpendicular bisector. Incenter goes with angle bisector. Centroid goes with the medians, and the orthocenter goes with the altitudes. So look over those. When we talk about mid-segments in that chapter, look at a problem like this right here on the board. So we have a triangle. I tell you the sides are 10, 15, and 14. By the markings, you can tell that this is a midpoint, and that's a midpoint. So the definition, as in chapter 6, section 4, of a mid-segment is it connects a midpoint to midpoint. It is parallel to the side, but it's also half the length. So how long is that point? Well, it's half of 10, so it would be 5. So look over those sections in there, and then review vocabulary. Okay, so we will take this test, those of y'all in class, we will take this test tomorrow. And when you come to class, I'll have an assigned seat for you. Your calculator will be there, your cover sheet will be there, your Scantron will be there. There will be no notes allowed. Your phone, everything will go in your backpack. Backpacks come up to the front till everyone's done. So you'll have about 40 minutes to do 16 questions, as we're going to see on here. So let's zoom in and look at some of these. Question number 1. So on this question, it was just saying, hey, what's the midpoint between 2 points? So if you add the two x's together, -3 plus 1 gives you a -2. Then divide by 2. So the way we get a midpoint, we add the two x's, divide by 2, we add the two y's, divide by 2. So we would have gotten -1, 4 and 2 make 6, half of 6 is 3. So C would have been the correct answer. But the other ones, if you had forgotten to divide by 2, you would have gotten this right here. So these other answers are not random. They are just the most common mistakes that are there. Number 2, which of the following is not an undefined term in geometry? We should know the 3 undefined terms of geometry are point, line, and plane. So point, line, and plane are the undefined terms of geometry. Ray is built off of line. So F is the correct answer there. Any questions there? Point, line, and plane, everything else is built on that. So just memorize those. The undefined terms of geometry are point, line, and plane. Number 3, find the length of the segment PQ below. So you see that this segment is made up of PQ and QR. You have the total as 33. You have one of the parts, since they're collinear, you could use the segment addition postulate and say, hey, that part plus that part equals 33, then I can take 33 minus 13 and get 20. Fairly easy problem. If this shows up, there's a good chance it'll show up without any drawing. I may say something like this. Point C is on line segment AB. A to C is 15. C to B is 23. What is AB? And if you get that problem, draw yourself a picture. Draw it across here. AB, put C in there. AC equals 15, put the 15 on there. C to B equals 20, put that on there. And then go, oh, I'm adding, or oh, I'm subtracting. But draw yourself a picture. Don't try to do all these in your head. This is just the segment addition postulate being used. Which of the following always form a line? Collinear segments. Well, collinear segments don't always form a line. They just mean that they're in a row. It just dash, 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 dash. Coplanar points. Well, they're flat, but they don't form a line necessarily. But if you knew your definitions, the definition of opposite rays are two rays that go in opposite directions. Let's see if I can get some visuals here. So these that represent rays, they're going in opposite directions and they share an endpoint. And then in that definition it says they form a line. So boom, that was an easy give if you knew your vocabulary and you knew the definition for opposite rays. 3 intersecting planes, no, usually they intersect at a point. Now they can intersect in a certain way so that they do form a line at their intersection, but that's rare. Okay. Number 5, biconditional statement. You need to know the biconditional statement. This was your converse. We switch the front with the back. If the pond is frozen, then it is cold today. We need to know the inverse, that's this one. If it's not cold today, then the pond is not frozen, that's inverse. The contrapositive is if you do both, you switch the front with the back and you negate them, that's this one down here. If the pond is not frozen, so I took the back, negated it, put it in the front, then it's not cold today, I took the front, negated it, put it in the back. And then the one we're looking for, the biconditional, which is actually C. It is cold today, and it will have this phrase in it, if and only if the pond is frozen. What 3 letters can we abbreviate if and only if with? Capital I, capital F, capital F. Yes, so if you see that, IFF in all caps, that means biconditional statement if and only if. Okay, let's go to number 6. So the conditional statement below is true. Well, that means its converse will be true. Which types of related statements might be false? Well, the inverse and the converse always go together. So we look at this statement. If x is 3, then x squared is 9. That's true. Is that the only way you can square something and get 9? No, you could take a negative 3 times a negative 3 and also get 9. So the inverse would say if x does not equal 3, then x squared is not equal to 9. That would not be true. Because if x were negative 3, then that would be true. X is not equal to 3. But negative 3 times negative 3 would give you 9. So the back saying that it does not equal 9 would be false. Okay? The converse would be false. This is your answer H. They go together. Inverse and converse are always true together, false together. And then a conditional, it's contrapositive, always true together and false together. Any questions here? Okay, my mouse not working. Number 7. This was a tricky problem. Find the value of y. Most of you know these add up to 180. So if you got 92 here, then you need to have 88 here. And there's 88, so is that the right answer? It said 2y. So 2 times 44 is what we want there. You're not looking for that angle, you're looking for the value of y. So that was the trick part of this one. Okay. Find a counterexample for a conjecture. This may be the most important question for your life, is being able to make an argument, defend your arguments, and so forth. So we need a product. We have to meet the requirements. We need two integers, so no fractions, no decimals. Okay? But we want to do the opposite. We want to multiply these and get something smaller, not larger. So this is not even multiplication, so that's out. This one's not integers, it's decimals, so that's out. So we're down here to these two. This one actually supports their argument. You have two numbers, you multiply and you get something larger. We want one where you multiply two numbers and you get something less. And so H is the correct answer here. So a counter example is an example that meets the requirements but goes counter against the result. Okay. Number 9, this was almost fun. Alligators are between the lions and bears. Monkeys are between the alligators and birds. Tigers are between the alligators and monkeys. So just go through a process of elimination. The very first one, alligators are between the lions and bears, does not satisfy A or B. It does satisfy C and D. So we go to the next one. Monkeys are between the alligators and birds, and we don't even look at these anymore because they're not possible. The monkeys between the alligators and birds, yes. Monkeys between the alligators and birds, yes. So that didn't help us. The last one, though, the tigers are between the alligators and birds, yes, but here, no. So D is gone, leaving just C. So if you got this style of question, process of elimination is the easiest way to do these. Could you graph them all out and go through and figure it all out? Yes, but it'd be much quicker just to do the process of elimination here. 4 questions on this one. If y'all do have your Scantrons, those of y'all that are in class, you can look and see how you responded on these. So we've got like 4 questions from this one picture. And this picture, there's things in this picture that didn't make as much sense when you took this. For instance, these 2 lines being parallel by these marks. Well, we didn't even talk about parallelness when you took this test. Okay. Now you should know that 1 and 3 are congruent, 5 and 7 are supplementary. These are consecutive interior angles. These are corresponding angles. Okay, now you had chapter 2, so you knew that those were vertical angles and these are a linear pair. So some of these questions, which of the following is not necessarily true? It's going to be F. We don't know that 3 and 4 are the same measure. In fact, unless 3 is 90, 4 will not be the same measure. It'll be the supplement because 3 has to match 1 and 1 and 4 are going to be supplementary. Okay. 2 and 4, yes, they're congruent because they're vertical angles. 1 and 2 are a linear pair. Yep, call that. And then 6 and 7 are vertical angles. Yes, by definition, they need to be put up there. Okay. So look at the next one on there. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
You're welcome.
Right here?
Yes, please. Okay, that's not the chair I had, though.
Thank you.
Hey, Nikhil.
This is one of those back chairs.
Oh, stop. Really?
Really? Okay. Okay. It's just hair gets caught in them.
Okay, grab it up. Grab it up to kill. Here's the next one.
Look out!
Yeah, watch it. Hard. Sorry.
I've got some of those on that side, but not the other one. I'm gonna pause this video for a minute.